Hello, I'm back. So I have my 18 by 20 panel completely dry. By the way, this is part 4 of a texture paste, kind of an acrylic abstract background, a couple layers dry, glazing. Now, at this junction, I had imagined deli paper. This is actually deli paper that's in here. It is not glued down with resin over the top. If any of you have seen me do those pieces with the resin over the deli paper, looks gorgeous actually. It looks inlaid, but this is awfully shiny and bright for this style that we're doing. Okay, I looked at some blue because I was really wanting, yes, I know this is sideways because the piece is so big, it will be landscape when it's dry. I kind of limited it with this little point on how you could hang the thing, but I'm looking for something more rustic. But I have lots of different types and colors of deli paper where this just has a couple different colors of blue randomly put on it. This one, the base, if I can get close up now, the base has been painted with a poinsettia, but then it had the sunflower stenciled over the top in the second layer. Now in certain applications this would be really beautiful into resin. I actually cut this piece, I think, to fit in one of these squares, but it doesn't really look like it belongs to this. Expect it to happen. So I guess my plan for opening up with this paper is, hopefully you're seeing what I'm seeing. This is looking awful glitzy for this, even though it's a possibility. However, yeah, a couple videos ago I did a teaser for you guys. Let me get this deli paper out of the way. I did a teaser for you guys on some skins I had made. Not a true paint skin though. Sorry for reaching across there. They're not a true paint skin because there's no latex in them. So, as we know as paint skins. So, a paint skin's traditionally the little goober that's caught on the end of your acrylic bottle will form a little skin. Paint pouring people will take the leftover paint that's fallen on their drip plastic, let it dry, and use it for beautiful pieces, but it has a latex that it will never reconstitute in it, you know, a form of plastic actually. But I made these with Future Floor Polish, now today known as Pledge Revive It, because Future Floor Polish's name was gotten rid of a few years ago. 18 years ago it was called Future Floor Polish. Now it's called Pledge Revive It. So this was leftover residue in the bottom of some salsa cups of, when I say salsa cups, I mean like salsa cups. I had taken the primary elements and mixed with various mediums, acrylics. This is like 18, 20 years ago when I was first testing the pigments out. And the residue started forming rings. I mean, you can see this. You can get a ring right around the edge of the thing. And this is a newer one. This was actually done with the Revive It, not Future Floor Polish. I just recently made this. But the circles that you see that are rings are the actual pieces formed in the side of the salsa cup. You're getting what I'm saying. You could put these in some kind of shallow mold if you had a shape in mind. Now, you're going to use probably a silver dollar's worth of the Revive It. Let's say in the bottom of this salsa cup. Actually, probably more of a 50-cent piece. The size of maybe a lip glass pot. Dump in some of the color, and yeah, you can't just sprinkle a little bit. You'll be using a 1/4 teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon of your precious pigments. You can beef it up because the colors are very saturated by adding some straight interference micas or I don't have any little containers here. Oh yes, I do. We call them pearls. On our website, under the Primary Elements Pure Minerals, you're going to see golden pearl, red pearl, green pearl. This is, I think, is the orange pearl. And really, they're interferences, but the word interference confuses people. So to stretch your color, and this is a lot less expensive than the art pigments, which are a dry paint essentially. It's what the primary elements are. For those of you that happen to stumble on this video by accident and you don't know about them, sorry for getting into this because this is a stage 4 video, but taking a little bit of the Primary Element Arte Pigments, well, this container is almost empty, but a good 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon, and a 1/2 teaspoon of an interference and or pearl color that matches. Let's say a turquoise, I might put a green or a blue in. A violet, I might put a violet pearl in, and it'll stretch it. The point is you're making these wonderful skins that have this beautiful pounded metallic look. Now, this one's a little bit more pliable. Some of the other ones are very fragile and they can break easily. So it just kind of all depends on how it dries. I just want you to be mindful that these are more fragile than a regular paint. I do have a little piece of painter's plastic here where I got some of my color dried. I really don't want to get it all over this right now. I'm going to set this aside for a sec. But I've spread the Revive out on, this is like what you just cover the floor with when you're going to paint your house. And it has quite a bit in here. You can see how it just peels up, okay? I keep them stored like that so I can get bigger flakes. Some of this is really thin and fragile. I poured it out and smeared it really thin with an old credit card or like a room key. Not realizing I didn't have enough mica in it, or the art pigments. So I did go in and add some more interference blue in here as I saw it setting up, realizing I was being really skimpy with the pigments. But as you can see, it will peel right off. So the colors I have in my tubs here, this is more of a turquoise that has bits of purple in it. This is kind of an interesting combination. You can make different combos. I think this looks like it has a little bit of violet in it, and then it also looks like it's got some turquoise in it. I know I used Mystic Blue on quite a few of these. I know I used some Majestic Blue and Ocean Wave. I know this is Passion. I believe this is Teal Zircon. I know the camera always makes that look green. This looks like this is more of just a clean Snapdragon. Now when these get wetted down, they're going to be a little bit shinier. I'm only going to wet them with one drop of this on top. Okay, I'm back. So found the bamboo skewer. I wanted to show you that there's a really big one. It's beautiful. It's flat. Not overly thick. Oh, come on, get the light on this thing. not doing very well at this, getting this in the light just right, but it's super paper thin, where I know I have a little chunk of some ginger peach right here, and I'm going to actually use this in the piece. I know for a fact. I know I'm going orange on orange on orange, but I do plan on having a surprise of color here and there, I promise you. But this big chunk of ginger peach, they've just been sandwiched over the years. I mean, I made this, believe it or not, 18 years ago. And it's a big piece. Now, very carefully, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm taking a risk here. I'm just going to kind of wedge the bamboo skewer right be here where I see an opening, and just kind of split them apart. I see a little opening right here, and as you can see, I just popped it in two. Okay, so this is coralberry. Now, if any of you use coralberry, you know that the actual color coralberry is a dark, deep, rich coral. It's an orange, but it has interference violet as its base. That's the mica that's in it. So as this gets moistened, that orange is going to come out, but it's going to give us iridescence, which I think will be really pretty on this background, against this background of this piece. Once again, just to recap, I think this is too shiny and shimmery as it is. But if I lay some of my components on top, it will soften it. You'll still see some sparkle under that resin, but it's going to look more of a broken mosaic look. I'm going to use an awful lot of oranges and earth tones here with just some pops of blues and purples. After that, we'll see what happens to the rest of the piece. I think I'm going to do the rest of the touch-up after I see how this turns out. I have plain deli paper. I'm telling you this up front because I'm going to do it again. I'm going to turn on the music and work. And I'll probably cut some of this out. I doubt I'm going to videotape me doing every section. I want to tell you in advance. If I don't have a piece of deli paper that I think is going to fit in here, I'm going to easily just cut up some blank deli paper, okay? I'm laying down some golden or Liquitex gel medium. Now, heavy gel. I have some Liquitex heavy gel. So what I'm going to use this as my glue. And I'm going to lay down my deli paper in each section, let it dry. Then I have that ginger peach from that first section if I want to use this color on most of it. This will be neutral to the spiced pumpkin section, to the ginger peach because it's the same color. This would even look fabulous under the violets and of course the coralberry. The only color I probably wouldn't use this under would be the blues, which I have some blue deli paper for if I need that. Either that or I might use some transparents, and you'll see them listed in the description. But I think I'm going to get into a groove here, start gluing the deli paper down. Like I said, I'm going to have to edit some of this. I'll have to speed up some of this. But let's see what happens here. And for this section, eventually, this is where I'm going to pool the resin and let it dry on my abstract piece. Enjoy, you guys. See you back in a bit. I'll cut in if I've got some comment. So I'm gonna stop here just for a second, experimenting with different colors. This top group was the ginger peach, and I dripped just a few drops of the Future, now called Revive It, over the top to activate them and kind of meld them to the paper below. This is the spiced pumpkin, but I found this was really old, it's from a long time ago, and I just put a drop on it. It looks like it's a really dark black cherry color. So I've got some black cherry, and I'm going to mix a couple pieces of some spiced pumpkin in here just to get some different variations of these earth tones in here so they're not all identical, making it look unique and rustic. Let's see if you can get a close-up on this. I'm going to put a drop on it. Move this piece forward. Okay, so this is where I sort of wet it on the tabletop. Some of these older pieces are going to take a while to activate. The fresher ones, of course, are going to activate quicker. Remember, polystyrene, this Future, does not have a latex in it. It will reactivate. If you really got it wet and kept getting it wet, eventually this would turn back into a paint that would completely meld to the surface. But used in this method, we're getting some interesting kind of fractured, broken metal, mosaic-y kind of look. I'm liking those little bits of that dark black cherry in there. That makes it more interesting in here. The resin on top of this in each one of these sections is going to be really nice. I'm also noticing that, yeah, the candy apple's really neutral, where I have my little sections, these little dams that I created in the, get my finger over here, that I created in the texture paste. But I think once I start putting the black accents along here, I'll probably be deepening this before I do the resin. So, wasn't sure. I can always go darker, but I can't go lighter. So I've been very cautious with this piece to go light to dark, light to dark. So I just want to stop a second and explain kind of what you saw me do here. And this coral berry, it looks kind of interesting in the violet. I know it looks a little strange right now. If I need to, I can always touch up these edges so it doesn't look so purple underneath it. But you can see it started looking really pink because of the violet mica. But as it's wetting, you're getting that pink coral, which it is so pretty, especially once this goes under resin. Anyway, back to the music and me just playing. Okay, so I'm going to pause everything here. What I ended up doing was using the ginger peach along the top here, spiced pumpkin, and when I discovered I had some of that black cherry, started adding just a couple segments of the darker black cherry to make it interesting. And here I did the coral berry. Here I did the coral berry. You can see it's starting to get more and more coral, as you'll see the close-up. Okay. This is kind of an interesting mishmash. I didn't expect to have some of the coral. It looks like even a little bit of purple fell in here. So what I did is I put what I thought was the spiced pumpkin and plenty of chunks of the black cherry. That's all that dark stuff. But you can see a little hint of some purple that popped in. And it looks like a little piece of the coral berry. Wasn't my intention, but hey. This top part is mostly the ginger peach. Went back to the ginger peach. This section, see if I can slide this up, was that passion that I had used. There's interference blue or blue pearl in the passion. So this is going to dry more red violet. Right now it's looking really blue. I might have got it a little oversaturated, but at this point I'm going to have to live with what I've got. And just to bring it over to keep the pattern going, I did a section here of my passion, a section here of the spiced pumpkin with that black cherry, spiced pumpkin with the black cherry, and then here is the coral berry. Actually, I don't know if I got it wet. There we go. It should be turning more coral is what I've noticed. If it looks too pink, but it didn't actually set it down. And now these could be glued down into gel medium. But for this purpose, I can get really an interesting mosaic-y look as this dries. I am going to have to let this set for a few hours. So section 4 is going to take a little while to get the video up. Rendering alone is sometimes 7 to 10 hours on these videos to smooth it out so you hear the voice and see the hands at the same time. I still have to finish up the other sections and pour the resin. I am going to, like I said, start to accent this with some black thin down with a little bit of water. Probably deepen this section here too. This will accent it. Now this candy DM is a little bit too neutral. I'm going to go over the top of these. Probably not with black, but like half Windsor blue and half burnt umber or Russiana, so it'll look like I'm using black. And then the final thing, I am going to end up doing some kind of swipe, whether I use my tool to just kind of scrape some color here, or I actually do a little section where I'm swiping some black over the top of this, because now that this thing is so orange and so gold, our eyes need a little bit of a break here in the top and bottom. But I had to see how this was going to come out. Was it going to be deli paper? Was it going to be these art pigment metal elements that I'm making with the Future Floor Polish, now known as Revive? I wasn't sure how this was going to go. So that's why I didn't want to finish up the rest of this. And I wouldn't anyway. Even if I knew what I was going to do, I'd still finish my decorated section and then do the final touch-ups on the outside so it looks finished. Anyway, I'm going to let this dry. See you guys in a few hours. Bye.